quickly, who am I? I work with Eric. I work around the world. I'm running a workshop in Geneva. If anyone's in the UK or Europe and you would like to attend a one-day workshop with me and probably a small number of architects, then let us know. Just write in the chat window that you're possibly available on the 23rd of August, my birthday. I shouldn't have said that because we're probably recording. Very quickly, who am I? I work with Eric. I work around the world. I'm running a workshop in Geneva. If anyone's in the UK or Europe and you would like to attend a one-day workshop with me and probably a small number of architects, then let us know. Just write in the chat window that you're possibly available on the 23rd of August, my birthday. I shouldn't have said that because we're probably recording this. All right. I've written 3 books, and Eric and I have successfully coached over 500 architects, improving their income and winning better projects. Okay, so today, the Pareto principle says that success does not come from doing 100 things right, but from doing 1 or 2 things that matter right. So after 6 years of working with architects, I can boil the right thing down to 1 skill. Okay, so as Peter Drucker said, it's not about doing things right, it's about doing the right things. And we're going to learn that today. Now, the reason you are not earning more is because you are missing this 1 skill. Learning the skill solves the problem most architects face on a daily basis, which is how to win better quality projects. You may be busy, but are you winning the best quality projects that you could or should be winning? So, what's the single most valuable skill? Before I reveal the skill, I want to tell you a story about an Italian economist who first discovered the 80-20 principle. Here it is. His name is Wilfredo Pareto. And that's him there, a bit of a hipster. And he was an Italian economist in Italy. And in 1906, he made a very famous observation that 20% of the population in Italy owned 20% of the population owned 80% of the land. Right? Now he looked at that and thought, that is pretty unfair. That's not an equal distribution. 20% of the people owned 80% of the land. And he thought, all right, I'm going to review other countries in Europe. So he looked at Italy. Well, he was in Italy, but he looked at France, Germany, England, and Spain. And guess what he found? 20% of the people owned 80% of the land. And he thought, wow, must be a sign of our times, unfair times. So he went back with all those countries 100 years prior. Right? So it must have been 1806. And guess what he found? 20% of the people owned 80% of the land. And that's where Wilfredo Pareto left it. It was just land distribution, right? It wasn't until the 1950s a guy called Joseph Duran came along and he started noticing the same sort of thing, but it was on production lines. He noticed that 20% of the production line caused 80% of the faults. And it was Duran who started to notice, actually, this 80-20 seems to be a lot more places than just wealth distribution, right? And he named it the Pareto principle because the Duran principle doesn't sound nearly as good. Okay, but the 80-20 principle was always present. It's in far more places, and you've probably heard this, you might have read some books on it. It's a phenomenal, it's how the universe is, the dice are loaded in the universe. The dice are loaded. They're not loaded evenly. So, the 80-20 principle has helped shape the modern world, and it has remained one of the most underutilized principles of our time. And tapping into the 80-20 principle is something which can make whatever you do far more powerful. Right? So the real message, to summarize books and everything else, is most of what you do has little impact on your results. There's a vital few things that you do that create nearly all of your results. And if you improve the vital few, then you can easily double or even triple your results. Okay, so let me explain. Most people think I do all these activities on the left and it creates this results on the right. Well, if we put on our 80-20 glasses and we say, okay, well, what are the activities you actually do and how much of them contribute to the result on the right, what we see is that most of the activities that we do don't do much, and some of them do a whole lot, right? So with our 80-20 glasses, the world really looks like this. And it's not just activities, it's everywhere. It's especially in marketing. Have a look at in your wardrobe. If we said, take all your wardrobe, what percentage of your clothes do you wear? What you'll find is probably, and check this out in your own, just research yourself in your own head, 80% of the clothes we wear 20% of the time, yet some of the clothes we wear almost always. Right? I'm wearing a shirt. It's one of my 20% shirts. And that's with our 80-20 glasses, it looks like that. It's not just clothes, it's not just wealth distribution, it's also criminals. 20% of the criminals create 80% of the crime. 20% of the authors create 80% of the book sales. Now, it's not always exactly 80-20, sometimes it's 90-10. But the point is, there's always a vital few that contribute massively and a trivial many that don't actually make that much difference. Actors in Hollywood, in terms of what they earn, it's almost something like 95-5 with actors. You've got Jennifer Lopez, or you've got Julia Roberts earning $20 million for a movie, and the rest of the cast might be earning $1 million between them or something. There's the vital few. Think of sports people. You've got Floyd Mayweather and maybe Cristiano Ronaldo, the football player, earning hundreds of millions, and then everybody else just earning a few million, right? It's outrageous. So nice theory, but how do I win better projects and make more money with this theory? Okay. So what we want to do is we want to get to the 80-20 of marketing. So it's all very well to see 80-20 and all that, but here's how we apply it, okay? Here's a little graph I've used to work at how can we apply it. So, and you can apply this graph to anything you're focused on, and you can use the 80-20 principle to see if you can find faster ways to get better results. Okay, so notice we've got a vertical axis which has results on it. So we've got high results, low results. And then horizontally, we've got low effort or low expense and high effort or high expense. Could be either. Okay, so quadrant number 1 is okay. You haven't put much effort in, but you haven't got much result either. Quadrant number 2 is probably the worst. You put a lot of effort or money into something and you've got not very much. Okay. Quadrant number 3 is okay. You've put a lot of work in, a lot of effort, and you've got a good result. But quadrant number 4 is where the magic happens, right? We've got high results, but hardly any effort or hardly any investment. That is where the 20% things lie. Okay, so how would we apply this principle in the real world? So what we need to do is we need to list all the possible options when we look to 80-20 our situation. We list all the possible options that we have for doing something. We place them on the 80-20 chart, and then we focus on the 20%. Okay, we need to identify the 20% and then focus on them. So let me give you a simple, funny little example. List all possible options. So here we go. Let's say I want to learn a language. I'm currently in France at the moment, and let's say I want to learn French. Now, I've asked a lot of people, what's the fastest, easiest way to learn a language? And what they've told me is, well, you can learn it from a book, you can take classes, you can do a homestay, or you can get a girlfriend. So, all right. And then I've asked them, okay, I've asked people who have been here before, who have studied and learned French, what's the fastest way? And here's what they've told me. We need to place them on, and I'll place them on the 80-20 chart for you. Okay, learning from a book doesn't take much effort, but doesn't actually get you great results. Taking classes takes a lot of effort because you've got to turn up, you've got to be there, and actually doesn't get you much better results than learning from a book. Then finally, doing a homestay, a lot of effort because you've got to go to someone's house and you've got to live there and all that type of stuff, and you might have to pay or something like that, but you do learn a lot more French because they speak to you in French. And then finally, get a girlfriend. It's relatively cheap, depending on how you live. It's relatively enjoyable for most people, or could be a boyfriend, and it's the fastest way to learn. It's the easiest, fastest way to learn a language, right? The least effort, least expense, depends. I suppose it could be the most expensive as well, but you get my point, right? So most of what you do has little impact on your results. There's a vital few things you can do that create nearly all of your results. And if you improve the vital few, then you can easily double or triple your results. So the secret is focus on the small number of things that make a big impact. So in this case, you need more boyfriends and girlfriends if you want to learn a language. So native speakers, that would be how we would apply this. Okay, so from a marketing point of view, you don't want to learn to speak French or get a boyfriend or girlfriend, but you may want to work out marketing. So we list a whole lot of different things that we can be doing, remember? Okay, so we list them there, and then we plot them on the chart. And I'm going to plot them for you. Okay, now you may plot them in slightly different positions, but this is where I plot them after 6 years of working with architects. Okay, we need to place them. Cold calling, not great results, high effort. Advertising, once again, not great results. Networking, yep, networking can be quite good, but it is a lot of work. You've got to go places. Sponsorship is often not great, can be expensive. Newsletters can be good, can be really good, but you got to write them, and you got to post them, and you got to send them, and you got to. Social media, for a lot of people, they put a lot of effort into it and really don't get much from it. You could do nothing. That's another one. And then finally, creating offers. Now, to me, creating offers is in that green box. It's in zone number 4. High results, little effort. Okay, so now, remember the 80-20 principle, step number 3, we focus on the 20%, because what happens if we focus on the 20% and we do more of it, right? If we, let's say instead of spending 20% of our time on creating offers, and you probably don't even do that, but let's say we spend more time on it, what happens on the right-hand side? Boom. Because it works. It's one of those things that work. Okay, so the 80-20 of marketing. So what's the most profitable skill? The one skill the world's most successful business owners admit is at least in part responsible for their success. If you haven't already guessed it, it's crafting a powerful message. Okay, specifically crafting your offer. So what is an offer? An offer is an invitation to do something. Okay, it's an invitation to do something. Someone invited to do something can either say yes or no. So here's some examples. Would you like my directory of experts for the specific type of project you're considering? Would you like my directory of experts? Would you like my Rolodex? Would you like my the experts I recommend for your type of project? Yes or no? Right, that would be an offer. Very specific. Would you like a project planning pack checklist for homeowners? If you're looking to do if you're planning a project, would you like my project planning pack checklist? Yes or no? Would you like to meet with an expert who can see where you are and outline your next steps? People can say yes or no. Now, I think I'm going to compare this now. It's not hard sell or salesy. It's just an invitation to help people when they want it. That's the difference between what you'll learn today and every other type of marketing that I see. We do not sell. We just have to invite people to get help when they're ready. All right. So other than my clients, I don't know too many architects who have a valid offer. What I tend to see architects do, and this is why their marketing doesn't work, is they don't offer anything. Okay? They will do things like, they'll say things, this is their message. I do great design. That's not an offer. Right? Here's my portfolio. That's not an offer. We have been in business for 25 years. That is not an offer. Have a think about Apple. Have a think about Starbucks. Have a think about Microsoft. They all make offers. Okay? Now, the offer rules, it must be clear. And I'm going to show you some examples. I'll give you lots of examples, but it must be clear. It must be good value. There must be a logical reason for the offer. There must be a reason for immediate action. And there must be a strong, clear, direct call to action. Tell them what to do and how to get it. Okay? All right. We need to have the ability to communicate your value to your market, and it needs to be wrapped up in your offer. Okay? So what we're talking about is a simple communication of value that's almost always missing, and this is why your marketing isn't working. When you have this, your marketing works, and you can afford to spend some money on various media because it will work. When you don't have this, it won't work. Okay? So how how to create an offer that demonstrates immediate value and attracts your ideal clients instantly. That's what we're going to talk about now. I want to tell you a quick story. I was running a webinar, not a webinar, it was a live workshop in Wellington, and I must have had about 40 people there, and for the first time ever I had an architect, and she turned up, and at the end of my workshops, I usually, it's my way to get clients. I'll often say, if anyone's interested in having a chat with me, I'll run you through what I do and how I do it, and you can book a meeting with me. And she didn't book a meeting, and that was fine. And then I had what I call the circle of love. So I had some follow-up emails which went out to everybody who attended the webinar, and they automatically went out. I'd forgotten I'd set them up. But there was a couple of emails saying, hey, you attended the workshop, hope you enjoyed it, here's some notes, and by the way, you really should book a one-on-one session with me. And she called me up on the phone one day and said, I really need some help. I got your email, and I couldn't actually remember what the email was because I couldn't remember setting up my circle of love. I must have just done it, and then just automatically, it automatically happened. And it took me a few minutes to work out even what she was talking about, but I realized she was talking about the workshop, and she says, I really need help, but I'm an architect. And I kind of thought, well, but I'm an architect, what does that mean? So I said, all right, well, why don't you come and see me? Oh, she also said, I've got no money and your marketing won't work for me, right? Your marketing won't work for me because I'm an architect. She said, I really enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but I'm an architect and it won't work for us, I'm sure. I said, oh, okay. I didn't know any better. So I said, all right, well, okay. She said, but we might as well have a chat. So I said, all right, well, we'll have a chat. We'll find out where you are now. We'll find out where you want to be. We'll find out what's stopping you. And we'll identify what's driving you because I want you to be motivated. And then I'll outline some options for you, and it'll give you some clarity as to what to do, right? And so she said that'd be great. And I must admit, I hung up the phone thinking, why did I offer that? Because she's told me she doesn't have any money. It won't work for her. It just didn't sound like a good idea. But anyway, so we sat down. I said, right, where are you now? And she outlined where she was. Now, I used this quadrant to say, right, what's high income for you? And she said, well, high income would be 200,000. That'd be amazing. And what's low income would be zero. I said, where are you on that kind of spectrum at the moment? And she said, probably in the low end, right? And I said, what about, how much do you enjoy the projects you're winning and doing? She said, yeah, no, I do. I enjoy those. So we put her as an X about there, and I said, I'd call that the artist quarter, right? That's kind of like you're not earning a lot of money, but you are enjoying it, right? You're on, you're 7 out of 10 for enjoyment and maybe 3 out of 10 for earning. So I want you to work out where you are on this quadrant as well. So this is where she was. I said, if you were over on the left, where you're earning pretty ordinary money and you weren't enjoying it, so you're not winning projects that you even enjoy, that would be the old quarter. And then if you were earning good income, however you define it, but you weren't enjoying it, that would be the new quarter. And then up here is Sunshine Island. So you're earning decent income, maybe not 200, but you're certainly well above where you are now, and it's an acceptable level, and you're enjoying it. That would be Sunshine Island. So whereabouts do you fit? I'd be interested if you just type in the chat window, everybody, which quadrant do you think you are? Now, what defines high income? It's up to you, right? So I said, what's the most you think you could earn? And that was sort of a number she gave me. So you just take what's the most you think you could earn, and then plot yourself. What are you earning? Where are you on the graph of where you think you could and should be, or where are you on that graph? So let's have a look and see what people say. Artist quarter, new quarter, okay. Artist, says Hannah. PK artist, 60% of possible earnings, okay, good. Artist quarter, old quarter, okay. Artist quarter. Used to be in Sunshine Island, that's interesting. Used to be in Sunshine Island, but now need to work on PT, so Okay, so falling out. Lots in the artist quarter, really interesting. Right in the new quarter, okay, and there's more coming in. So Sunshine Island, good for you, Jennifer. Jennifer's in Sunshine Island. Artist quarter, right? Most are in the artist quarter. Interesting. I did this the other day, and it was quite different. Okay, so you can relate to Mona. I said, where do you want to be? And we plotted her about there. Now, she didn't say I want 200,000. She went up by about. She said if I could go from here, and I won't give the exact number, but it was about 25% more. She said that would be what I would want to achieve. It was still well below what she thought the top people were earning, but it was just on the inside of Sunshine Island, and it was still earning, doing great stuff. So it was kind of between Artist Quarter and Sunshine Island, which I didn't think was very ambitious, I must admit. Okay, but that's okay. But I didn't know. I mean, I'd never worked with an architect before. So I said, what's stopping you? She went through a whole lot of stuff that was stopping her. Right? Marketing doesn't work for architects. I can't afford it. I'm too young. I'm too female. I'm giving away too much free work. A whole lot of stuff that may be similar to what you're saying to yourself. Okay? Then I outlined some options, and I ran through how I work, and I thought, well, this is a waste of time. I mean, you can do these things yourself, or if you want to work with me, here's how this works. And working with me at that time was about $12,000 to work one-on-one with me over 3 to 6 month period. And anyway, that was fine. And to my surprise, she said, let's give it a shot. And I was really surprised, given everything she'd said up until that point, that it won't work. Right? So I said, all right. So we started. Thought this will be interesting. And I went on the internet to see if I could find any marketing for architects. And this was 6 years ago. And I couldn't find anything. Right? There was nothing out there. I thought I might go and study it myself before I started working with her. But I said, explain to me how you sell design services. And she explained a sales process that looks like this. And you may relate to this, right? She said, basically, someone approaches me. I meet with them. I give them a proposal. And then hopefully we get a contract and we get into it. And I drew a graph that looked like this, and I thought, wow, that is a big jump from first meeting to proposal, right? So I said, how's that working for you? She's not working particularly well. I mean, I get some clients, but I seem to miss a lot too. Now, it doesn't work particularly well. Now, consider these stairs. Have a look at them. What do you notice about these stairs? And what do you notice about these stairs? Which kind of reminded me of her sales process. Imagine those. Consider this ladder. Now consider this ladder. You're starting to get the point. Consider if you're married or have been married. Consider the dating process and the slow escalation of commitment. Right? Now consider this example. You meet someone in a bar. You start talking to them for 15 minutes. You're going great. You really get on well with them, and all of a sudden they lean across and they go, would you like to get married? It's like the record goes, you go, what? It takes you by shock, right? So would this work for you? Someone approaches you, they propose marriage, boom. Even if you really like the look of them and like the way they were going, 15 minutes into it is pretty heavy duty to get a proposal. Now, this is pretty much what it looks like with your clients. Initial meeting proposal. I had a friend called Simon. He interviewed 15 different architects for a project he was looking to do. And he was the one that highlighted me, he really highlighted this big jump for me. He said every single one of them, they met me, they rushed to the proposal. He said, I was not ready for a full-on proposal at the speed they wanted to give it to me. Right? It was too quick. Way too quick. So what we need to do is we need to build some steps, and that's what we're going to do today. So a quick quiz to see if you're up with this. Type in, please. Type in. Marketing for architects typically fails because A, people try to copy retail examples, and you're trying to sell architecture services, which is not retail. You can't sell it by doing retail type marketing. Number B, there is no romance. C, clients need small steps. They need to gain trust. Or D, all of the above. What do you reckon, guys? Let's have a quick look, see if you're... Oh, well done. You guys are quick. Ed Elliott, David, Corey, Daniel, Agatha, Excellent. Aaron, Gilbert, Suzanne. Okay, well done. Good. D, of course, D. Thank you for playing and filling out the answering as well. Right. So what I want to show you is one of those small steps. Remember, making offers is the 80-20 of marketing. Okay, so this is my overall marketing system. I'm going to take you through 3 of the very important steps. We're going to look at the monkey's fist first. Now, the monkey's fist is a specific type of offer. Quick story. Frank Beecher, guy who wrote a book called How I Moved from a Failure to Success in Selling, wrote a book, and it's in my library at home. And he said he was watching the ships come in, and he wondered how those great big huge hawser ropes got from the ship onto shore. And that's what they tie the boat up with. So he sat down, opened up a sandwich, and thought, I'll have a look and see how this gets done. Now, what he noticed on the deck of the boat, there was a man like throwing a lasso around his head, and he threw this, what looked like a lasso, onto the shore. Now, what that was a piece of rope, but it didn't have a lasso. It actually had a metal ball inside that macrame. And that thing is called a monkey's fist. So he'd run it around his head, throw it on shore. The longshoreman would pick it up and start pulling it through the water, right? And he said, that's how they do it. They throw something which is really easy to throw, because you couldn't throw the big hawser. The rope is as big as a man's thigh. But you can throw the monkey's fist, which is connected to the thin rope. And then you can pull that rope in. It's connected to the hawser, and you get those great big fat ropes onto the shore, and you tie them up around the bollards. That's how they do it. So he was selling door to door, and he thought, I wonder if I can try and throw a monkey's fist in my selling door to door. So he was selling coffee at the time, and his conversion rate was 4%. 4 out of 100 households he would knock onto would buy. And so instead of going up trying to sell coffee, he thought, I wonder if I can throw a monkey's fist, something easy to throw. So he changed his script. So he'd go up to the door, and he'd knock on the door, and the lady of the house would open. This is in the 1950s. And he said, hello, madam. Instead of trying to sell a coffee, he said, I'd like to give you a sample of one of my finest coffees. Would you accept? Right? And he said, there's no catch. Try it for a week. I'll come back in a week's time to see what you think. She'd go, okay, that's fine. Sounds good to me. She'd take his free sample of coffee. He'd come back a week's time and say, hello, it's Frank here again. I gave you a free sample of coffee last week. I want to see what you think of it. And if you're prepared to make your first small purchase, I can give you another gift. Well, his sales rate went from 4% to 44%, right? By adding the extra step, by throwing a monkey's fist, by throwing something which was really easy to throw and very easy for people to say yes to, an offer, his conversion rate went from 4 to 44%. So what is the best monkey's fist for us? Okay, the best one is specific problem-solving information that your ideal client is already looking for. Okay, so if I'm looking to build a house, and I'm confused about what I'm allowed to do and not allowed to do, and you offered me a quick summary of the legal, requirements that allowed me what I could do and what I couldn't do, and I had to say yes or no, do I want it? I would probably say yes, because it's information I already want. Okay, so what that does is moves us from selling architectural services to educating people. We now become purveyors of problems, right? So rather than selling our goods, rather than prove people we're good by selling ourselves, we prove that we're good by actually helping people out, right? Now this is worth writing down. Sell the problem you solve, not the service you offer. This is the secret to making offers at this stage, at this early level with a client. Sell the problem you solve, not the service you offer. It's not something Winston Churchill said. It's just a good image of Winston Churchill. But it has that kind of impact to me anyway. Sell the problem you solve, not the service you offer. All right. Now, how do we find out what a good problem is? What we're looking for is a pebble in the shoe. You ever walked along the street and you might have all sorts of worldly problems. But if you get a pebble in your shoe, all those problems kind of disappear because your focus goes into that damn pebble in your shoe. So you're walking along and it's hurting. And all you want to do is find a way to get that pebble out. Until you get that pebble out, nothing else happens. That is a great monkey's fist. So we're looking for the pebble pebble in people's shoes, your ideal clients. Now, let me give you an example. This wasn't a pebble. Nora Hayden wrote a book called Astrological Love. She sold 60,000 copies. And you might say, well, that's good, 60,000 copies. Well, yeah, it's good, but when you see what happened when they changed the title of the book, you'll realize this wasn't a pebble in the shoe. So what they did is they said, it's good, it's a good book, but not that many people are looking for astrological love. Can we change the title? And here's what they did. They changed it to How to Satisfy a Woman Every Time and Have Her Beg for More. The first and only book that tells you exactly how. 4 million copies sold. Talk about finding a pebble. All they did was change the title of the book. Okay, so I don't know what the pebble in the shoe for the type of client, I don't know what type of client you want, right? But there is a pebble out there waiting for you to discover it. And if you do, everything changes, right? They will come to you. You won't have to sell them. They will come to you. They'll give you the name and their contact details, and you can then work out how to take the next step. Now, what sort of format options can we deliver Monkey's Fist in? Any number. Could be an infographic. You could explain your problem-solving information. Could be a flow chart. They've worked really well. This is a good flow chart. This is one that we've used many times. It was very successful. Just a hand-drawn flow chart. One of our most successful Monkey's Fists. Could be a checklist. Could be a report. Could be a mind map. Right? As long as it specifically addresses a pebble in someone's shoe, the quicker you can get them a result with your content, the better. It could be a quick self-assessment. Okay, this was Mona's Monkey's Fist. 7 mistakes people make when renovating. Now, it's not what I do nowadays, but at the time, it was still a pretty good offer. 7 mistakes people make when renovating. Okay, now, she got an article written in the paper. I said, whatever you do, see if you can get the journalist to mention the Monkey's Fist in the article, and they did. She got 120 leads in a single weekend because that Monkey's Fist was mentioned in the article. She then went to a trade show, and instead of just giving away free advice on the spot, like most architects tend to do, to prove everybody how good they are, she gave away her booklet, 7 Mistakes People Make. Well, she didn't give it away, sorry. She said she's run out, but she took their name and contact details. And you can see there's a queue of people lining up to get that booklet. Okay, they're highly qualified prospects. All right, 120 leads there. Brilliant, brilliant. So let's do a quick quiz on the Monkey's Fist. The Monkey's Fist is A Bruce Lee movie. B, a yoga position. C, problem-solving information used to attract leads and help people. What do you think? What do you think? Okay, good. C. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Chris. Correct, Wendy. All right, you guys are a smart bunch. I'm very pleased about this. All right, let's move forward. So we've seen the Monkey's Fist. Let's have a look at this thing called Ask the Expert. This is our second offer, okay? So what we need to do is now let's say we've got a list of people who want the pebble removed from their shoe. We have a list of people now. We need to get them into a meeting, right? The qualified ones. So the meeting also needs to be kind of like a Monkey's Fist. We need an ultra-specific solution to an ultra-specific problem. So instead of, what I'm saying is don't just say free initial consultation. That's as vague and wishy-washy as anything. We need to be specific because people want the next step. It needs to offer a fast result, and it needs to convert your readers into a client, ideally, or some of them. There's a few other things. I haven't got time to go through them. All right, so remembered our failed marriage proposal that had the great big steps missing? And remember Mona's sales process, which didn't work particularly well either? Okay, we've got the first step. We've got the Monkey's Fist. We need the second step. Actually, sorry. Oops. And that's this meeting. Okay, so free initial meeting, terrible idea. Here's the 6 steps to turning initial meeting into a product. Number 1, what I want you to do is I want you to name this meeting. We're going to turn it into a product. It needs a name. Number 2, explain the problem that your meeting solves. Okay, they've got your free report. Now we want to have a meeting with those who well qualified. Number 3, there needs to be a compelling promise. What are they going to get from it? How are they going to benefit from having this meeting? 4, you want to use a standardized process. 5, set a value, give it a value. And then let's have a look at lessons from the airline industry. So here's an example of turning a service into a product. This is something I studied a few years ago, and I was really intrigued about this concept of turning abstract things into concrete things. Okay, airlines do it. What's the name? Business class. You can sleep. You don't get jet lagged. Number 3, you get a higher quality comfort. Number 4, the process is faster check-in, better food, better quality seats, and price is often 3 times more. So here's an example of when I was looking last time at San Diego, $4,253 instead of $968. Now, they both arrive at the same time, but they're different products. Right? It's got a name, it's got a promise, it's got a problem, it's got a price, boom, 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 boom. And it becomes something that people will buy or go for. Okay. What could it be for an architect? One of the things that my guys are using at the moment is something called a project coaching call, right? So we're targeting people who are at the early stages. They're thinking about a project. They're not ready to hire someone to do design, but they would value the idea of having a project coaching call, right? The problem is you don't know where to start. So we say this is ideal for people who don't know where to start. You will walk away with a 1-page action plan. That's a pretty good deal. That would be pretty useful to someone thinking about it. And here's the steps, 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter what they are, but you list it out. The value is $150. But since you've downloaded my Monkey's Fist, you can attend that. Or since you're a referral, I'll run this project coaching call with you for free. Right? Now we've got a thing, we've got a product, we've got something specific with a specific outcome. See the difference? Great. So we've got 2 steps in place now. This is starting to take shape. We start to have something which looks like your clients could actually climb now instead of Mount Everest. This is exciting. Now we need the final step, right? The LCC, the low commitment consultation. Okay, this is where we're looking to get $1 out of your clients. Because what happens, even if you only get $1 out of people, what happens to the relationship when we're paying you money, right? They become a client. Okay, now it's hard to get people to pay you money for design because it's still a big step. Now I want you to get more than $1. Most people get about $1,000 to $1,500 for this step. But even if you just got $1, they still become a client and the relationship changes. So this concept came from an IT job I was doing. I was working for a company called Intergen. We used to sell to government and large corporates. They would come to us and say, can you give us a proposal? And to do a proposal took us weeks of work because we had to do a whole lot of analysis. Very expensive for us. This is crazy, we said. So we changed it. We said, look, this is crazy. We'd say, listen, we can do a quote for you or a proposal, or we can conduct a feasibility and requirements analysis. They go, what's that? And they go, well, it's this. We'll do A, B, and C. So I did exactly the same thing. We created a product, right? And we'll give you this document, and you can use it to produce an accurate proposal from us or any other company in town, and everyone will be, quoting the same thing. And it was amazing. Everybody went for this. We charged them $1,000, which we thought was hilarious. So we got paid to go and do the research that we would normally have to do a proposal, right? So when I came into the architecture industry with Mona and started working with other architects, I thought, this could work here. And does it work? Does it work, right? It works beautifully. So I'll give you a couple. This guy I call the king of the LCC, James the King Sizer. He's from the UK. He takes exactly what I say and how to do it. There's a bit of a script you can use and all that type of stuff. And all he does is basically offer a research project, a pre-design research. He converted 33 incoming calls out of 36 for a £1,000 LCC, right? Game changer. He earned about $50,000 or the equivalent of. And this is $50,000 in the first 3 or 6 months, I can't quite remember, instead of doing free work, right? Now, that doesn't even count the design fees he got because they were now clients. right? There's other ones here, Zach Freeman. I can give you thousands and thousands of examples of architects who thought it wouldn't work. It does work because it's how every other professional works. It's how a doctor works, right? Imagine a doctor you go to see a doctor and you think you've got problems with your heart, and the doctor says, okay, sit down, right, open your shirt up, and he starts coming out with you a scalpel, and you go, what are you doing? He's going, well, I'm going to cut you open and I'm going to start. He said, well, hang on, aren't you going to do a diagnosis? Aren't you going to check me out first? He said, oh, I don't need that. I'll work it out once I'm in there. Like, that is malpractice. So doctors do an investigation, lawyers do an investigation first and charge for it. Accountants, everybody does, except, from what I can see, architects. Well, that's got to change, right? So by using this LCC process, it can change. And this is what we do. And it works. Everybody who thinks it won't work, it does work, right? Here's another one from Dan. They love it. These are with real estate agents. He was pitching them the LCC. Okay. Dion's commercial. I basically scripted out something, and he's taken the thing I scripted out, and he's just turned it into a very simple, he calls it needs and options review. But it's all along the lines, and the whole frame of what he's got here is pretty much like a doctor would talk. I think it says something there, a surgeon wouldn't operate without doing a diagnosis first, and this process is exactly the same. Now, will you find architects who will do stuff for free? Of course, right? Of course you will. But when you explain the value of doing a proper diagnosis and a paid diagnosis, the good clients usually want to go for the paid one. Same way my government departments wanted to go for the paid research, and they wanted to pay us $1,000 on their IT projects. Okay, now where would you promote your LCC? You would promote it on video, website, proposals, and conversation. When people call you up, you would promote it in all these type of places and more. You would explain the value of it. What do I call my LCC? Good question. Right? Remember, LCC stands for low commitment consultation. So it's really just a small step, but it is a paid step. Okay, so these are some of the things that my guys are calling them. Needs and options review, design diagnosis, feasibility review. Project planning workshop is quite a good one if you're working with a large, let's say, university or a corporate, because they like the idea of you coming in and doing a workshop for them to facilitate for a design brief, or to get the whole team on board, and you facilitate it. That can work really well for them. A project planning workshop. Okay, so that's what do I call my LCC. So those are some names. You can call it whatever you want. So let me summarize the low commitment concept. By the way, does this make sense to you? Right? Now, notice what we're doing too. We're slowing the process down a little bit. Instead of jumping straight to proposal, which doesn't work particularly well, we're putting in a series of steps which actually slows the sales process down a little bit compared to how maybe other architects work, right? But it's far more romantic, if I say so myself, right? So quick summary, it's a smaller commitment than jumping them straight through to a design proposal. It's a chance for them to get to know you. It's a chance for them to find out more about what's required. It's a chance to not jump in the deep end. Clients like that. It reduces their risk. This is really important. It reduces the client's risk, and this is the key point when you're selling it too. Reduces their risk, and it should do, because you're going to go out and do a proper job of doing the research instead of a rush job because you're not getting paid. It improves the design, right? The more research and analysis that gets done up front, you can do a better job on design. So let's have a quick quiz. The LCC, A, reduces the client's risk and commitment by doing pre-design research as a standalone project or product. Is it A, does it reduce the client's risk? Is it B, a song by the Village People? Or is it C, a car developed by Elon Musk? A, B, or C? Let's have a quick look. Excellent. Well done. Is it Regina? Susan? Hannah? Man, there's a lot of people here. Good work, guys. Yes, if you said A, and most of you did, everybody did, you're on the right track. So now we have a romantic process. Look at that. It even looks nice. It even looks right, doesn't it? Just a series of small escalating steps. Right? This is actually, when I designed this, it was designed on how clients want to buy. It wasn't designed on how architects want to sell. This is kind of how architects or clients want to buy. First, they want information. They want to get information. That's the monkey's fist. Then they want their specific situation looked at. That's kind of the Ask the Expert meeting, right? Then they want some analysis and research. That's the LCC. And then they want the proposal, right? A series of small steps. And it really is how clients want to move through the process, which is why I think it works so well. It's designed by clients for architects as opposed to by architects for architects. Right, let me give you a big example of the two different ways, before and after. Starving artist. Okay, a lot of you are starving artists here, right? So this might be a typical scenario. Imagine this. Sit back in your chair, take a deep breath, and imagine scenario one. This is the starving artist. Okay, the starving artist, and let's say it's you receive a call, and the client asks you if you can come and do a site visit. Oh, fantastic, you think. Site visit, but it's an hour away. So, okay, you agree to it because you need the work. You drive to the site, and the client's not there. You wait, and you wait, and you wait. You've driven for an hour to get there, so you might as well stay. The client turns up 40 minutes late, doesn't apologise, just turns up, walks out, how you going, shakes your hand, and straight to business. Client wants ideas. What do you think? Here's my land. What can we do with this? Well, you're trying to impress them. You're thinking, wow, this looks like a real project here. And so you start giving some ideas. The client likes one of your ideas. Oh, that's really good. That's great. I like that idea. And you're thinking, oh, this is good. He asks a lot of questions. So you answer a lot of questions because that's what you're trying to do. You think, the more helpful I am, the more stuff I give him, the more likely he is to feel a need to reciprocate and give me the project. You make a little bit of a sketch on your really good idea. He loves the sketch, right? He says, can I keep the sketch? And you go, yes, absolutely. You think the more I give this guy, the more he'll like me, and the more he'll like me, the more chance I have of winning this project. You agree to meet again. He says, can we meet again? I need to meet you again. I'm going to have some more questions. I want to think about this. You agree. You drive back to your office, which takes you an hour. The client then delays that next meeting by a week because he's busy. Then he says, can you come to my office? Now, his office is an hour and a half away. But you say, yeah, well, I've already invested all this time, and he likes my ideas. I'll come to your office. Still, not a dollar being earned by you. He probes you. When you get in there, he probes you for some more information and then asks you how much. No matter what you say, he says that's too much. Have you ever been in this situation before, by the way? He asks you to do a proposal. You willingly jump at the idea of doing a proposal. You invest 10 hours of your weekend into doing this proposal for this guy. You then go back for a third meeting, back to his office. He asks you to reduce your fees. Too expensive. You accept the project at a reduced fee. He makes millions. You lose money on the project. This is how often a starving artist operates. I could give you, that's outcome number A. Outcome number B could look like this. This is an alternative outcome to this little story. He tells you after 3 meetings that another architect will do the project for less and gives it to them. Anyone relate to that? Okay, let's have a look at after. Okay, so I believe if you follow the steps that I outline, this is what life can look like. The client downloads a monkey's fist. It's a pebble, and they like it. They immediately book an appointment to talk with you because they like the monkey's fist, and the offer to meet with you seemed like a good idea. You go out and you check their details because they've had to fill something out on an online form. You check their details. They look okay. So you call them up, you ask them a couple of other questions and reconfirm your process. What do I mean by this? You reconfirm how this meeting's going to go and what's going to happen, right? You have a process. They agree, right? The client has seen your process because they've watched the video and she agrees, yep, that's fine. Happy to meet with you on those terms. The client drives to you because that's part of your process. The client wants ideas. You remind her of the process. You remind her that this initial meeting is not about talking about design ideas. It's a meet and greet. It's a chance for you to meet each other, for you to understand the project and find out if you are a fit. Find out if you want to work with her. That is the point of this meeting. It's not to come up with design ideas for her. You ask her a lot of questions. You uncover a lot of gaps. It's quite clear she doesn't have all the answers. Now, in the past, you might have just sat there and given her the answers. This time, you don't. You uncover the questions, you uncover the gaps, but you don't give her the answers. You just identify that there are gaps. You offer to go and research those gaps. Can you see the difference? You offer to research the gaps. She's now aware of these gaps. She wasn't before. She is now because you've uncovered them. The client agrees to pay you $1,500 to go away and research the gaps and do some analysis, some pre-design analysis. You then deliver on what you promised to deliver. The client then, after receiving that document, completes a design application form. Right? This is an application form to work with you. An application form to work with you. You accept the client. You accept the client. Notice the difference. Two very different processes. Okay, this is an architect in Sunshine Island doing it, I think, the proper way. Right? Not being bullied, not being beaten down on price, not giving away free work, controlling the sales process. Right? Having a sales process and then outlining to the client how it works and ensuring that that is how it does get done. Right? This is not a free-for-all. This is not a pick my brains for free session. This is how it's done. All right. So those are the three key steps. We talked about the 80-20. The offer to me is one of the most important things in marketing for an architect. And we've covered three different types of offers. The monkey's fist, the Ask the Expert, which is the appointment, and then the LCC. Pretty powerful stuff. Right now, the reason I say it's 80-20 is because it doesn't necessarily take a lot of effort to craft these offers. Right? Is it easy? No, it's not necessarily easy. But it doesn't necessarily take a lot of effort if you know what to do, as I've seen you. So if you've got any questions, now's the time to do it. Eric and I are going to answer any questions that you want to ask. And what I'd also like you to do is type in your biggest takeaway so far. What is your biggest takeaway from what you've learned today? And we're going to look at these in a moment. So please type in any question. Don't leave here. I mean, you've got to do your Wayne Gretzky and take your shot. Ask any question you've got, and I want to know what your biggest takeaway is. Okay? Type in any question you want answered now. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. A lot of people will attend this and do nothing. Right? Be a Gretzky. Be a Gretzky. Okay, you've seen the vital few steps today. If you want to take a shot at owning the complete marketing system that takes design firms like you to Sunshine Island, then stay around. I'm going to run through the complete, sort of a very quick summary of the complete system, if that's of interest to you. Okay, so what we covered today was those three steps. I'll quickly summarize what else I think should be in there. But having said that, even just those three steps are massively important, massively valuable. All right, that is officially the end of the Continuing Education Systems course. If you're still here at this point, you have qualified to get 1 unit. Congratulations. Congratulations. What you'll need to do is send us an email, and we will send you the relevant stuff that you need to claim your points. All right. So this is the end of the formal training on offers. Next, we're going to quickly review my entire marketing system and the fastest way to implement. And we're going to cover any questions And I said at the start that you could apply for a complimentary one-on-one session with us. That is still valid. So there are some conditions. You do need to be the owner, partner, or decision maker of an architecture or design firm, right? You have to have the ability to provide exceptional services or results for your clients, and you must be willing to invest time, money, or energy into your business to make some changes. So if you tick those 3 boxes, then there is a link here, archmarketing.org/80-20, and you can have your one-on-one session. Right. Let's just have a quick look. I'm going to put it all together in a second, but I just want to see what people have got. In fact, I'll go back to the previous slide. So those of you who are, if you want to book that coaching session, do that now. We will run you through your options. Right, let's have a look at what people have got for their biggest takeaway. Man, I wish I had my little glasses here. Where are they? My eyesight is not what it once was. Right. Let's have a look here. It's a long way down. There's been a lot of responses. Right. Romance your client, says Rowan Murray. Good. That's been the biggest takeaway. Romance them. So small steps. Paul says, just launching a learning community and can use this to develop a product. Good. Perfect. Good idea. The offer, says Amanda. Kimberly says, how do you get out of the cycle of giving away free work if you're in it now? Okay, good question. I'll cover that. I'll tell you what, I'll cover it now. How do you get out? You stop giving away free advice. Okay, so what you need is some words or some scripts to push back on. So if someone's asking me for free advice, and I'll tell you what, being a marketer is very similar to being an architect. And that is, everybody will ask you lots of questions, and the more answers you give, the less they need to hire you, or the less they think they need to hire you. Okay, so the answer is, if someone's plugging me in, I'm an architect. The answer is that you're very clear in your process. My process is the first meeting is about meeting you, seeing if we have rapport, understanding what the project involves, and finding out if we're a good fit. That is the purpose of the first meeting, right? And you can clearly state it's not about coming up with design ideas, right? It's just seeing if we're a fit and seeing if we've got rapport. So you're very clear about that, and that's it. Right, and if they ask you, well, what about this and what about that? And you go, great question, and you need those questions answered. I have a service called a needs and options review or something like that. I'm happy to go away and research those things. The cost for that will be $1,500. You list as many questions as they've got. The more questions they give you, the better it is, right? So that's how I do it. Multiple steps to reach the proposal, says Mark. Ed Elliott says small steps, romance the potential client. Good. Reed says Monkey's Fist, ATE and LCC are all great. We've been jumping into proposals without much to show, so this is great. Brilliant. Look, step one is just to understand it, right? Then it comes to, right, how are we going to implement it? Please explain the Monkey's Fist again. I can't explain it again. I spent a good 10 minutes on it. Slow down the process, says David. Stop giving away your expertise for free. That's fantastic. Manny says the LCC was the biggest thing for him. Greg says, seems like the romance is very time consuming. Not necessarily. No, it's just a series of steps. I'll tell you what's time consuming is running around doing free work for clients who end up going to another architect who's a bit cheaper after you haven't given them all the information. That is time consuming. Jennifer. Hey Jennifer, how are you? Jennifer Kritchner. Great breakdown. I have gaps to fill in my process. Brilliant. I remember a one-on-one session I had with you. Was it 2 or 3 years ago, Jennifer? Do you remember that? And I think I told you the outcome of that one-on-one session was we had a pretty big heart-to-heart, and I said, you've got to put your fees up. I remember that. And then I remember seeing that you did, and you changed the way you package things, so good for you. All right, hey, there's a lot of good stuff. I can't go through them all. I'm going to run through a bit more stuff. So I'll come back to those questions at the end. Book a session, a coaching session, if you meet those criteria, archmarketing.org/80-20. It's a coaching session. Let me run through what happens in a minute. We'll find out where you are. So this is exactly the same process I took Mona through. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? Right? Where are you now? Where do you want to be? We need to understand what the gap is. Where are you? Are you in the old quarter, artist quarter? Where do you want to be? What's stopping you? Right? What's stopping you? Now for her, I guess it was that she didn't have any marketing systems in place, but it was also some limiting beliefs. Identify your why. We need to find out what motivates you and outline your options. Okay, so just depends on where you're at, what your options are. We have programs that we run. We'll outline those for you. There's all sorts of options. There's options of doing it yourself. The other option is doing nothing. The other option is getting help with us or getting help from someone. Okay, we'll outline what we think at quite a high level, what we think you can do. So you should get some clarity. Right, now this is everybody who you ever see in the Architect Marketing Institute starts with a step, which is going and getting that session and finding out where they're at and what their options are. Okay, Mona said, let's take a shot. I was stunned when she said, when we had this one-on-one session with her, and I was sure she was going to go, no, can't afford it, right? And she said, let's take a shot. And I said, why did you choose to do it? Because I'm stunned. She wasn't earning a lot of money, and I thought the $12,000 that I was charging her back then to work one-on-one with her, I thought this is way too much for what she's going to be able to afford, and she did it, and it knocked me off my seat. She paid me $12,000. I did really nothing I didn't do any work for her. I just coached her. I told her what to do, and we were testing because I'd never worked with an architect. We were testing stuff as we went along. Nowadays, when we work with architects, we're not testing, right? You are following a step-by-step roadmap, right? Thanks to people like Mona and some of the other people who have been the guinea pigs along the way, we have a step-by-step roadmap. But she has tripled her income. Well, last time I spoke to her, she said she had. She's gone from a sole architect to a firm of 8. And I'm her client now. She did 2 LCCs for me, and I couldn't refuse, could I? I was hardly in a position to say no. She did 2 LCCs for me. I don't know why she did 2, but I paid twice for 2 lots of pre-design research. Good for her, and I can tell you she is expensive now. James Sizer took a shot. He's an English gentleman with his wife Solom, who's probably the driving force there. And just from his LCCs, from doing the LCCs properly, generated about $50,000 in fees just from the stuff he used to do for free. And there's a good video on our blog if you want to. There's that interview you can see with me and James, where he turned up at a live workshop and I interviewed him. Right, but he took a shot. Right, he could have sat there and go, "Oh, this won't work for me. I'm English," or "This won't work for me. I'm anything." Right, but he took a shot. And it did work. Rachel Burton, she was one of the first clients on the very first, after I did Mona, we had AMA 1, which was the first group of 10 people where I took them. 10 people. She was on that very first group. She was new in business. She had one little business partner who was an interior designer, and they worked together. It was a big risk, but she took a shot. And if you see a video, if you go to the link that I showed you before, I think there's a video there of her explaining that house behind her is a house she bought because she took a shot. Right? Peter Toohey, a lot of you may have heard of Peter Toohey. He's been with us for about 5 years. He even helps me run the mastermind group. He's really good at marketing now, but he gave it a shot. Right? This is an interesting one. Michelle Dempsey. So Michelle Dempsey is from Scranton, and Scranton is where they shot The Office, the American version of The Office. And this came in this week, literally this week. True story from The Office this week. We landed, not The Office, but her office. We landed a big project after celebrating. Andrea turned to me a little exasperated and said, "Can we pump the brakes on the marketing for a little bit? We're crushed." I've been in that position before. A less seasoned me would have agreed, but 16 years of owning a firm and being an AMI, I've learned a few things here and there. My reply was, "Andrea, this is exactly when we need to step on the gas." Having too much work is a fun problem to solve. Not having enough is the worst. She took a deep breath, poor old Andrea, and we figured out how we would get it all done. Feeling better, she looked at me, smiled, and said, all right, let's double down on the marketing. It's pretty exciting that it's working. All right. She's a great lady, Michelle. So here's another guy, and this is a guy, you know, when we talk about being in Sunshine Island, one of the factors is you want to win great projects. Well, this is a guy, Roderick Anderson, who came to the program, and he is getting a very good habit of winning stunning projects. He just won another project, like they're always working on it. He was saying, here's one, I haven't been attending the classes. This is one of the houses he's building. This is why he's so busy, right? Now, 100% risk-free. If anyone comes in and we'll outline the options, and if you choose the option of working with us, we offer 100% risk-free guarantee, which means you've got 30 days to check it all out. Okay, so you can get out for any reason. If you end up doing a program with us, you can do it on your own. You can do something with us. If you come with us, we always offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. You don't have to have any reason. There's no clauses or catches. It's just if you decide it's not for you. All right, but the first step is you need to go and book a coaching session, a one-on-one. Excuse me. You go to archmarketing.org/80-20. You got nothing to lose. Go there, have your one-on-one session. We'll map out what you want, where you are now, where you want to be, what's stopping you. If you end up on one of our programs, you've got no risk. That's the link to go and get that. Now, there is one other thing, actually. If you click on that link, by the way, you'll go through to a page and you'll be able to book a session immediately. This is actually, well, interestingly enough, this is exactly the same process that we set up for our clients too. So they have a Monkeys Fist. So what we're doing here is kind of the same thing we set up for architects. They have their educational Monkeys Fist. They immediately get invited to book a meeting, right? So same as this, right? Works for us, works for our clients, can work for you too, right? They can book a meeting. Does everyone book a meeting? No, of course not. But the keen ones are the ones that want to take a shot do, and same would be with your clients. Some of them will. All right. You miss every shot you don't take. Let's just have a quick look at, and I'll come through and do a bit of motivational stuff with you guys in a sec, but I just want to look through at some more of the questions here. Of all of Mona's beliefs, how many proved to be true? Good question. Wondering how many of mine are just in my head. I'll tell you what, Dana, that is a really good question, and what that says is you are open to investigating your own erroneous beliefs. So good for you. That's a really good first step. How many of her beliefs were true? Okay, I remember them all. I'm new in business, and so therefore I can't put my fees up. That was one of them, because I was telling her I was working through how we're going to put her fees up. She said, I can't, I'm just new in business, right? I said, what the hell does being new in business have to do with putting what your fees are? Right, so that wasn't true. I'm a woman was another one. I said, well, are there women out there doing great work? She said, yep. I said, who? She said, she listed off a few famous women and different women. And I know it's a man's industry, don't get me wrong. I know it's a white middle-class man's industry in many cases, right? But there's some women doing stunning work out there. I've listed some of them today, Michelle Dempsey and Mona. So it doesn't have to be that. Being a woman doesn't have to hold you back. Being new in business doesn't have to hold you back. What else? Marketing doesn't work. That didn't have to hold her back. That was an erroneous belief. What are some of yours? I mean, so no, not many of them proved to be actually true. But we like to hold on to beliefs because it means we don't have to take responsibility for making a change, right? But there's not too many beliefs which actually are true. They're just opinions, really. Clients are always in a hurry in a busy construction boom in Boston. Seems like no time for romance, says Chelsea. Rubbish, right? Yes, they're in a hurry, but that is where your professionalism needs to come in, right? The answer is no, I will not jump through and give you a proposal because that would be unprofessional. I do not know enough about your project and what you're trying to achieve. I need to do the research first, right? Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice, right? So you need to be professional about it, slow it down, say, we've got to go through this process because it will protect you and it will protect me, right? We need to reduce your risk. If we rush into it, you may end up having a project that goes over time and over budget. PK says, how to educate the clients. Yes, says Jennifer. Yes, she remembers that meeting. She raised her fees. Good for you. All right. Okay, let's have a look. Now, in terms of what's number one on your list? Okay, so what was the previous question? It was around what are the reasons for wanting to get, for you wanting to get to Sunshine Island? Okay, what are your reasons for wanting to get to Sunshine Island? Where you get high fees and you get to work on really good projects. Because that has got to be the goal, surely. Okay, now Jeff Krieger, for him, it was having the freedom to be able to go out and get on his bike again. It was as simple as that, right? That was his definition, having a business where he could go out and ride his bike and he didn't have to worry about things. Okay, so I asked one client once, I said, what is it you want to achieve? What will happen when you get to Sunshine Island? I said, well, I'll be able to outsource some of the tasks and spend more time with my family. I'll be able to close the office down for 2 weeks, pay off a tax bill, buy a new car or pay down a car. I'll be able to pay down my mortgage. I'll be able to prove myself to my peers and family, and that's often quite a big one, right? To show that you've got a successful business is quite a drive for some people. Be able to set aside money for college, take the family to a favorite holiday destination and stay in a nice hotel. So this is one of the questions I asked one client one day. What are the reasons that drive you? You know, why do you want this? And I said, okay, and they gave me these reasons. I said, of all those, which is the most important? Okay, what's your number one on that list? And I want you to do the same exercise too. Write down some things for you. What are the reasons you want to be successful in your business? Right? Write down a few, at least 3 to 5. Right? And then I'm going to ask you, what's number one of all those things that you've got there? Of all those things, what's number one on that list? So I asked this guy, what's number one on your list? And he said, I want to be able to outsource some of the tasks so I can spend more time with my family. So like a good coach, I didn't leave it there. I dug deeper and said, okay, well, what will that give you? Why do you want that? And he said, well, the kids are growing up too fast and I'm missing them working all hours. Being an architect is outrageous. Not only do we have to spend 5 to 7 years just getting qualified, we have to work like a dog. Often, if we're not getting the right type of projects and charging the right type of fees, we end up having to work really hard. And I feel I'm missing out on the kids growing up. I said, why is that important to you? He said, well, my father was not there for me when I was growing up. And I missed him. You know, I really wanted to be there for him. And I said, well, why is that important to you? He said, well, really, I just want to connect with my family. I don't feel I kind of had that in my family, and I don't want my kids to feel the same thing I felt when I was growing up. Okay, we're trying to find the why. Why do you want that? Why do you want connection with your family? He said, well, I want to make a contribution to my kids' lives. Right? So, and that was the thing. That, once we drilled it down to what was really important, because we can say, why do you want to be in Sunshine, and is it more money, is it better quality projects? But it usually comes down to something very personal, and it's worth doing that. And it's what we'll do in the one-on-one exercise with you, is help you. What is it? What is it that's going to make you get up and go and do what you need to do to implement this stuff? All right, where are you at now? Are you on Sunshine? Most of you aren't. I asked Mona why she decided to do the marketing with me. And she said, well, I took a shot because she said, I realized architects are good at lulling themselves into thinking they're doing all right when they're not. We're really, as a profession, we're good at lulling ourselves into thinking we're doing all right when we're not. And that's, there's so many architects that are starving artists doing great work, making money for other people, and getting ripped off the whole way along. Right? You need to learn some tools, whether you get it from me or Eric or someone else. You need to learn some tools so that you can start earning what you're worth. right? And some of these simple questions that came through, how do you get away from, doing free work and all that stuff? There's just simple things that you can say, but you need to have them so that you can move away from it. Okay, questions. If you've got a question, type into the chat window. If you haven't already booked your one-on-one session, go to archmarketing.org/80-20. You'll be asked a couple of questions. You will pick a time. You'll pick a time to meet with one of our team, and you'll have that one-on-one session, and it'll give you a lot of good clarity. All right. Actually, I've got so many messages in this thing now that it's kind of hard to... If you've got a question, or if you've already typed a question in and I haven't answered, can you type Q and then your question, and then I can find it quickly. Okay.
Hey, Richard.
It's probably to do with the drivers. So Ed says, my wife retired. We need to pick up the drop-in. We need to pick up the drop-in income and have more time to spend with her. Great. Good.
So, Richard, there's a question from Hannah saying, what are other examples of monkey's fists? Do you have one that you can show people?
Yeah, okay. I'll tell you what, I'll give you one. I'll show you one. This is my kind of favorite at the moment. Let's jump out of there. There's so much stuff I could have run you guys through, but time is limiting. Right. When you're trying to work out a monkey's fist, one of the best ways to do it is to ask yourself, what are the 6 biggest questions your ideal target market wants an answer to? Right. These relate to your pebbles. So, having worked with you guys for about 6 years, I kind of know the questions that clients want to know. Right, partly because I'm a client, but also I hear the questions that keep getting asked of you guys. So the questions seem to be, right, and these questions apply to any market. So these are all pebbles. Question number 1 is, how much is it going to cost, right? Is that a question that gets asked all the time? I know you don't like it. That is a question that gets asked all the time. How long will it take? What's the process? Who should I speak to? Can you recommend this for me? Can you recommend how do I select the right architect or the builder? They don't know, right? And who can you recommend for me? Okay, these are the type of questions that get asked. So, not too long ago, I produced a thing called the Project Planning Pack, and it's a set of, and in fact, for those of you who schedule a one-on-one session with us, we will give you at least part of it. Okay, I'll give you at least part of it. So this is what the Project Planning Pack. It's a toolkit for people looking to do a project. Now, what you would do is you would adapt this Project Planning Pack for the type of projects that you want. So if you were doing, university lecture theatres, it would be the Project Planning Pack for university lecture theatres, and you would adapt it accordingly, right? If it was for beachfront homes in Long Island, you would go the Project Planning Pack for beachfront homes in Long Island. The questions are all the same, right? So we've got a one-page worksheet that explains the process, just one page explains it. Who should I contact? There's a directory of experts there. You would insert your experts for your particular niche. Okay, these are all stuff that people want. A building cost estimator, how much will it cost? So we answer that question. We give them a little template that they can work out by square meters roughly how much it will cost. You'll say this won't be your price, but it'll give you an idea. And if you want a more accurate price, call this number below and you can book an appointment with me, right? And they can book an appointment with you. What else do they want to know? They want to know, how do I select an architect? So you give them the questions on how to select an architect. These are really clever, these questions, right? So those of you who get through and book a one-on-one, we'll give you some of these sheets. Myth versus reality, this is kind of a funny one. This is one to kind of explain and educate people what architects actually do, and that's a big thing you guys need to explain to people. What they think you do is do some nice designs. What architects actually do is almost everything, right? So we put down, what do people think we do? What do we actually do? And you list everything. How do I create a design brief in only 7 questions? We give them a little worksheet where they can do that. where am I at? So here's a little self-assessment that lets them know where they're at in the process, and what they need to do next. Okay, good little thing. So there's an example of a really cool little monkey's fist, which works really well. All right. Any other questions there, Eric?
Well, I see one really nice comment just posted in by Kimberly saying, my need to reduce hours and raise fees so that I can run my household with small children but not lose my passion in my career. Would like to be able to pick and choose projects without growing business beyond my time capabilities. Don't want to grow at this time so I can keep stress levels down. I think these are just fantastic goals, and your reasons why this is important to you are very clear. And by having those reasons why, you really need and want to do this, keep those in mind as you work on it, as you talk to us, as you make plans for how you can change your firm and the way you approach marketing to achieve those goals.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting inspection process sometimes, marketing, because we kind of force you guys to think a whole lot bigger as to what you want to do, not just what you want to do, but why you want to do it. And even that in itself is a useful exercise, gives you great clarity. Any other good questions there, Eric?
How do you implement this in an environment where everyone in the industry operates in a manner of free advice and immediate proposal? Difficult to change the marketplace expectation. That's from Regina.
Yep, good question. Good answer, right? So I had a lady called Kathy Kohler, and she was in Melbourne, and she said exactly this. She was on the very first marketing group we had with Rachel Burton, and she said it won't work in Melbourne. And I said, oh, why is that? She said, oh, all the architects around here will give away free advice. I said, all right, I reckon it would work. I said, I was in Melbourne at the time. I had dinner with her and one of the other ladies in the group, and I said, I'm coming to your office tomorrow, and I want to sit down with you, and I want to go through the LCC with you. I want to go through how explaining it, because I don't care if other people do it for free. If you explain it properly, they will choose to go with you and pay. And it comes back to that diagnosis. Doing a proper diagnosis. It's far more professional. But anyway, so she said, "All right, well, I've got a client I'm pretty sure I don't want, so I'll test it out on them." So I said, "Good idea. Good idea." She said, "I won't get it, but it's a chance for me to test it out and see how it goes." Anyway, she rings me the next day. I'm in the subway in Melbourne, and I get a phone call, and it's a bit crackly because I'm underground. And she says, "Oh, Richard, bad news." I said, "What's that, Kathy?" She said, "You know how I was going to test out the LCC, the incoming call script and the process for selling an LCC to these clients I didn't want?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Bad news. They took it." I said, "Oh, really?" She said, "Yeah, it's terrible." I asked, they want to pay me $750. Now, I'm pretty sure I don't want them as clients. But she said, "I might as well do it, and I'm going to get paid for it." And it was a bit of a breakthrough. And she never went back. That gave her the confidence to keep doing it. She never went back to doing it for free. She then told me she was up to $4,000 for her highest LCC and off and away. But it doesn't matter if other people do it for free. Because I would say, look, other people will do some stuff for free for you, but it's because they want to get you through and they want to charge you a fee for the design work. So they do the research for free. But you know what happens when people do research for free? They rush it. And why do they rush it? Because they're not getting paid. So they don't do it properly. They take shortcuts. Now, when I was, working for someone else and I used to do free design work and our company used to do it, I remember thinking this is crazy. And when I run my own firm, which I do now, I will never do that. I'll charge people a fee and I'll go away and do it properly, because this step is so important in the process. Because what the step allows us to do is give you a much greater chance of bringing the project in on time and on budget. This is about reducing your risk in a project. And I'll tell you what, it's an insurance policy. You do not want risk in a construction project. Construction risk is expensive. Anything, if you can spend a couple of $1,000s to reduce your risk, and that's an insurance policy, you should take it. right? And it's true. It's true. It's not even just, this is not a sales line. This is actually, you should be doing diagnosis, paid diagnosis before you do it. That's why it works so well. It's because you should be doing it, right? So, good one.
Yeah, so there's a related comment from Sean from, I guess it was a little while ago. What do you do about clients that want to get into the contract quicker, like commercial tenant improvement projects where the client has already signed a lease? And I wrote back, I thought that was an interesting question. If you can get them to sign and pay you, then go for it. But if they're just asking for a price, hey, we need to move quickly, what's your price? You're taking a big risk by doing that before you've had a chance to develop the relationship, to build the rapport, to establish why they need to follow your process rather than their, let's just get this done. So if you're winning lots of projects, hey, no reason to change. But if you're losing projects you'd like to win, if you're being price shopped, then you need to follow a process similar to this to really build that relationship, take control of the process.
Exactly. What else have we got? So type a Q. Here's one. Kimberly, I think you read that one out. Thank you. Amanda says, thank you for a brilliant lecture. I have applied for one session. Good for you. We'll help you out and give you some clarity there, Amanda. And hopefully speak to you again soon. Great. Well done, Amanda. Daniel says, I am seeking to add clients and to be able to take good care of my 10-year client when we choose to resume new projects. Great, 10-year client. You must be doing a great job. Well done, Daniel. Agatha says, thanks a million for this enlightening session. You're welcome. Really enjoyed doing it for you, Agatha. Daniel says, thank you for an awesome session. It was very helpful. Brilliant. What are other examples of monkey's fist? Hit that one. All right, so we're going to round this up. If anyone's got a final question, type it in now. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks to Eric for setting all this up. Thank you to you guys. We've still got 83 people here. There's a lot of people still here. So, I know a lot of people like to sit on here and listen to the Q&A. They don't necessarily like to answer questions themselves, but they love to listen because often some of the most insightful things sometimes come off the cuff and at the back. So, don't leave, as Gretzky says, take your shot. So book your one-on-one session. Go to archmarketing.org/80-20. Take a shot, Get some clarity. Work out where you are now, where you want to be, and find out what some of your options are. Take that shot. And also take a shot. Ask any questions now. We've got about 2 minutes left. Is this session going to be taped? It is, and smiley face from GIM. Oh, I know who that is. I know who GIM is. Is it going to be taped? Yes, it is going to be taped. And if it's the GI.M that I think it is, then yes. Yeah, it is being taped, but we're kind of a bit judicious about where we put it because we get people copying our stuff. So we don't sort of throw it out there freely necessarily. But if you are who I think you are, then I'm speaking to you next week. So it's all right. I'll sort something out. Would love to watch it again since I missed the first 15 minutes. I'll tell you what, we're running another session. The best thing to do would be turn up to the other session. Chelsea says, question, I get a lot of proposals accepted, but I need to raise fees to make better money. Good. Will this program work for me? Will the program work for me? Yeah, help you raise your fees. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll help you raise your fees. You need to raise your fees, obviously, right? You're working for probably too low a margin. I'll tell you what I told Jennifer, and Jennifer was on this call, and I had a one-on-one with her about 3 years ago, and I talked to her through specifically how to raise her fees, and I think I read somewhere else that she raised her fees by about 50% or something like that, right? And Jennifer, you may still be on the call, but did it make a difference, right? Did it make a difference? I'm pretty sure it did, right? So how do you raise fees? Yep. If you work with us, that's one of the big things we cover is how to raise fees. It's pretty important. It's probably but you need enough demand, right? AJ says, many thanks for your time, very insightful. Samantha says, thank you for the informative session. Having a baby in 2 weeks, you're kidding me. And we'll be taking some time off. Yeah, well, quite rightly. I will keep your contact information for when I'm ready to expand my business. Right, well, that's good. Yeah, you do that. GM says, I don't think I am the person you think I am. Right, oh, okay. This is the first time I heard about you guys, and it would be nice to watch it again. Okay. Okay, you're not the GM I thought you were. I'm not sure what we're doing. It's up to Eric. Eric will make a decision on that a bit later. I won't make any promises right now and put anyone on the spot, but we don't tend to throw our stuff out there too much. We get a lot of people copying our content. Kimberly says, how do I get back to signing up for the same webinar to catch the first 15 minutes? Okay. I think Eric will answer that question to you directly. He'll type it to you. Chelsea says, thank you. Oh, here we go. Here's Jennifer, right? So this is the lady I was talking about earlier who raised her fees. Jennifer says, yes, I tripled my revenue. There you go. Jennifer tripled her revenue. Good for her. I was really pleased when I saw that because you didn't. I said, Jennifer, I want you to do this and this and this and raise your fees, and I want you to let me know when you've done it and what happens. And you know what? You didn't let me know, did you? But I did see it. I saw it somewhere else, so I knew you had. But I made you promise that you would get back to me and tell me what happened because I knew what was going to happen. Tim says, thanks, Richard. You're welcome. Jennifer says, I met my previous... Okay, so this is Jennifer again, the high fee lady. I met all my previous goals from the summit and our one-on-one session. Brilliant. Good for you. Look forward to setting some new goals. Good. Good, Jennifer. I like it. And I sent you a video. Correct. You probably did. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you've got a lot of great ideas and go and do something about it. So either book a one-on-one session with us, which is probably the best thing to do, or take the notes that you've got and make sure you implement them. If you need some help, get help from someone. Get some help from someone who knows what they're doing. Maybe it's us, maybe it's someone else. It's generally the 80-20 of getting results is get a coach. Okay, someone who has a method. Doesn't have to be us, right? But we'd love it if it was us.
There is a comment here from Jimmy, a question. We have a firm of 14. Are your programs crafted for firms of our size? Absolutely. If you're a firm that has staff that can do marketing for you, in other words, you have an office manager who does part of the marketing, or you have someone in business development who does that, that person can be tasked with the project of learning the system and implementing it for your firm. In the small office, the 1 person, the 3 person, the 5 person office, whatever, where the principal, or maybe you have two partners or something, are responsible for everything, bringing in the work, and then your staff is just getting the drawings done, then obviously principal needs to be involved. But if you're, 10 or 20 people, definitely, you probably have someone who would be your go-to person for that. And you would set the direction. You would say, here's what we need to have you work on, and we can help you implement and have success with this system. It works very well in that context.
Yeah, it's a step-by-step program. So if you've got a staff member, they just follow the steps, right? They just go step by step and implement each one. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eric Bobrow. You're a star. And thank you to all the people who are still here. There's still a lot of people here, but we're going to wrap it up there, let you get back to work. It's nighttime here in France. And thanks for joining us. Really enjoyed it. And hey, stay in touch. We do have a thing called Our Circle of Love, which is part of the thing we teach. So we will continue to send educational material. and new webinars and new content. And you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks, guys. Have a great evening.